this is another one where I don't really have like a snappy, quick title that's related to the subject. I can't really think. I legitimately tried for a couple minutes to think of something that I got nothing. It's the hatening, and it's Hoop, and today I want to talk about online dating, and sort of like, I don't know, cover like its evolution, I guess. Maybe we get a little anecdotal. I have a lot of experience in it, but I remember like when, obviously, like, I'm the age where I kind of grew up with the internet. I watched the internet evolve into what it is today, basically, and then will be around as it continues to develop because it's a never-ending thing. I mean, the internet basically is like a living entity at this point, right? But I remember back in the day, way back in the day, when I was too young to be on message boards and like chat rooms and shit, and I discovered what online dating was, right? And back then, like, and I'm sure people will remember this, like, it was this really like amorphous concept that was kind of like faceless, and like looking back, it was completely fucking psycho. But at the time, it was this like almost like this very like exciting and mysterious, like, dare I say, exotic, like, form of like communication and like meeting people. And it was so new and crazy that you could be talking to someone that lives far away, and you're spilling your guts to them because you feel more free to sort of like say this like behind a computer screen. And you know what I mean? Like, I think that like through the whole like online dating early stages was kind of when I realized personally, and everybody has this realization who is like on the internet in whatever capacity, like, people talk and act differently than they do in real life. Like, people are a little more free. They're a little more like, you know what I mean? Like, we all know that, like, people say shit online they would never say in real life for whatever reason. Like, some people are more bold, some people are more like aggressive or more sexual or whatever the fuck, right? Like, a little more of their like true self comes out, like their id really takes over when they don't have to worry about like face-to-face repercussions, or, you know what I mean, like the stage fright of being around people. But like when I first started getting on the internet and was like kind of like on there all the time, and like I would like meet people, you know what I mean, when I started meeting people through like the early like social media platforms, and just like, early like just like online gaming and stuff too, because you would develop friendships, right? Like you would like, you would meet people on like LiveJournal and fucking MySpace, obviously, but then like you would meet people on like whatever video games you were playing if you were like into online gaming, and like they had like multiplayer options and shit, right? So you would become friends with these people, like you really would, and you would develop like relationships. And it was always this like weird thing where like the concept of like having a friendship, let alone like a romantic relationship, like with someone like over the internet or like on the computer, was like this really weird thing that like people really didn't take seriously. And so, back in the day, if you're like, oh shit, like I have a crush on this person who like, I met on this website, like, but not like a dating website, like, someone who's like on a forum, and we started talking, and you do the ASL thing, you find out that they're like, whatever you're attracted to, they're in an appropriate age group, and then you just like hit it off. And then you get this weird thing where you're like, fuck, dude, I think I like someone who I have never and probably will never meet, right? And obviously, like, depending on what age you are, like if you're hormonal, it's going to happen fucking all the time. But I definitely like had a lot of crushes on people that like I met through like LiveJournal and like early MySpace and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, it happened quite a bit. Like, and I definitely had like online girlfriends, like internet girlfriends or whatever, and it was always this like weird thing to try to like explain to people in your real life, where it's like, yeah, I have a crush on somebody, I met somebody, I think I'm dating somebody, but like, yeah, they don't live in the state, like they live far away, but like we know each other through like this website, and we talk on like instant messenger all the time. And like, I mean, and this was like before texting was a thing, and it's the same thing now, as like it would be like just to text someone all day, but instead it's like you can only talk for like the hours that you're like allowed to be on the computer, because this is still like landline territory, right? Like I talk about it on like the previous episode, like with the talking on the phone thing, and it's just like back then, like you didn't have like the phone in your pocket and you could kind of like talk to people all the time. So it really was like you had to wait until you got home, or you had to wait until like you were in whatever like place where you had like, you know, whatever limited internet access you did. But whatever, like, so like you like would develop all these like feelings for someone that like wasn't here. And it was just like this strange new thing, right? And like I did that kind of like on and off for a while, right? Like I would just kind of like meet people online through these things, and then obviously like as like social media became more refined and more abundant and more like normal for people to have these like profiles and shit, like it got to be a little less weird, but it was still kind of like dorky, right? Like in high school and college, like it wasn't like the weirdest thing ever if you were like, yeah, I have a crush on this girl I met on fucking MySpace who lives in Alabama. You know, like here's her fucking profile, here's whatever the fuck, like, you know, we message all the time, and like I got her phone number and we talk on the phone. Like it wasn't like some freak show shit, but it was still kind of like, what? Like, why can't you, you know, that was always the thing, like, why can't you meet people here, like on your own? Why you gotta do it on the computer? Like whatever the fuck. And it was still kind of like a weird thing to do, right? And then like as I got older and like was in college, you know, then it kind of became like, that's sort of around the time that like a lot of like the actual dating sites became like pretty popular and like weren't really stigmatized, because like, you know, early internet up until like the early 2010 or the early aughts, I guess, like it was still kind of like you weren't like shunned if you were on like a dating site, but it was still kind of like weird. Like people still thought you were kind of weird if you had like an online dating profile, because even though like catfishing wasn't really a term then, it was still sort of like that was like the vibe of like you don't know who's on the other end. And it could be a fucking freak. It could be someone who wants to like hurt you. Like, you know, whatever. There was a lot of the like satanic panic vibes involved with like, you know, kidnapping, or like, especially if you were like younger, like pedophilia and like all that kind of like Chris Hansen, like Dateline, like type of stuff. Like that shit really made like a lot of like parents or like, you know, more conservative people like kind of sound the alarm if you were like socially active on the internet, and would be like, you're gonna get fucking kidnapped and murdered, like that kind of shit, right? But like as time went on and as the internet became like more ubiquitous and like more like just everywhere, like it became more common for people to like to develop like relationships like based online, and it wasn't like as weird for you to like meet up with people that you met online. You know, in the 90s and the early 2000s, it was like fucking crazy and unheard of to be like, yeah, I've been messaging this person for a while and I think we're going to meet up this weekend. You know, they're going to drive a couple hours. We're going to meet in the middle. Like, you know, they live in this city and we're going to meet. That was like some, like, you're going to get fucking committed type of shit, you know? Fast forward to now, like, it's not even a big deal. Like, it's completely fucking normal, right? And so, like, you know, I kind of like missed the online date, like not even online dating, like the dating app, like Genesis, essentially. You know what I mean? Like, I would meet, like, I have met like multiple people. I'm trying to think how many partners I actually have like solely met from social media. I mean, like, one comes to mind that was like a long distance thing. We ended, like, you know, I went and got them and they ended up, you know, moving in with me and all that kind of stuff when I like had gotten out of college. But still, like that's a whole fucking thing, right? Like, I met somebody through mutual friends on Facebook and then like we got along and we started talking all the time. And then it was, you know, like we became friends, and then it just sort of like developed into like, yeah, if you were around, we would be dating, right? And the feeling was like mutual. And then it sort of became like, fuck it, I don't care about, like, I don't care, like, let's date long distance and let's hang out. And then, but we were obviously like, we were both in like kind of crazy places, and then that led to us like actually being together, moving together, which is like a whole other episode or whatever, just like the long distance like relationship where you like, you know what I mean? Because that's a whole fucking other thing. But just like to keep it back, you know, to like to kind of come back to like the whole like dating app or like online dating type of thing. Like, I remember like being in my early 20s and like, you know, being on social media and like being very much on the internet and like thinking that like, you know, dating people online was fine and meeting up with people was fine, but it was still like, you know, like a weird thing with like older people and a weird thing for like normies or whatever, you know. And then like fast forward to now, and all these people who like I thought would never like have an online dating profile or whatever are like talking about like meeting people on fucking Tinder and Bumble and all these other apps. And like, I know so many people who are in like very healthy, like very good relationships, like through dating apps and stuff, right? But like I was saying, like I missed the entire like early like dating app craze, right? Like when all these like the Tinder and all that bullshit like first came out, when it was all just kind of like, hey, it's social media but for fucking. Like I wasn't available to do that, so I kind of missed like the halcyon days of that kind of shit. But now like like I have all these apps, and it's a weird fucking place, man. Like online dating apps or whatever. I keep on saying online dating like that. I feel so old because like I still think of it as like online dating, even though it's fucking dating app or whatever, or a hookup app or whatever. But it's fucking weird. Like but it's not weird at the same time. Like it's this like strange part of the internet or like of your phone, right? Where it's kind of like, it's kind of social media, but it's kind of not. And it's kind of like you're on OkCupid back in the early 2000s, but you're kind of not. And you kind of like awkwardly like meet these people because like you're here to fuck or here to date, right? So it's kind of like speed dating, but you're not in the same room. And you like match with somebody for whatever reason, and then like you have to think of like a fucking first line or like a pickup line, or who's going to talk to who first, and then how long until you get their fucking number. It's like this whole like weird like new set of calculations that are involved with like dating people that I really feel like if you're of a certain age or older, like it just doesn't come naturally to you, right? Like if you're younger, like I know younger people who like do well, whatever that means, on these sites, either like in terms of like frequency of hookup or like depth and longevity of relationship, right? Like I know people on like through that entire spectrum, but like it's never clicked with me, and I have nothing against it, but like the execution like has never really been there. And like I've met a lot of people that I have had crushes on in the past, like via MySpace and Facebook, and like it's been cool, whatever. Like it was fun when I was doing that stuff, whenever I was doing that stuff. Like I have had at least one partner that I have met long distance from like social media and brought them, to, and like we were like actually together in the real world. But like in terms of like hookup apps or like any of those like apps, and like I've never really had any luck with them. Like not to, be like broy about it, like, oh, I didn't get any, whatever, you know what I mean? Like they just haven't really worked for me. I think I might have like missed their prime, or I'm like not in the, the age group to where like people are really like, you know what I mean? Like on it and shit. I'm not like 21. Like I can't imagine being like who I was at like 19, 20, 21 and like having fucking Tinder or something. Like it would have been fucking insane. Like I was already going insane on like fucking those clunky ass like fucking websites that we had back then. Like I can't imagine doing that shit now. But like if you're on that shit, fucking good on you. Like, and if you can like meet people on there and get whatever you want out of it, like, and everyone's happy at the end of the day, like rats off to you. Like that fucking rocks. Like I'm very impressed and like proud of you, but like it does not work for me. I don't put in a lot of effort in anything that I do, because in that way when it doesn't work I won't get disappointed, and that's another episode in and of itself. But you know what I mean? Like the dating app world is like fucking crazy. Like it's cool, like I'm down with it, but I'm divorced enough from like it that it's sort of like a spectator sport. Like I try to participate, but I'm in no means like successful or anything. I never really have been, you know what I'm saying? Like, not that I like have ever been like successful like dating stuff in general. Like I'm fine at whatever the fuck, like romantic wise, like getting partners or whatever the fuck, like whatever. I'm rambling and kind of not making sense at this point, but the whole point of it is like, I don't know, I've sort of like watched digital dating evolve into what it is now, from like its earliest forms, its earliest evolutions on like the Pokemon spectrum. And it's just crazy to see how far it's come and just how like nonchalant and common it is now. Like everyone has done it or knows people who have. I know people who've gotten married because of this shit. If you would have said that fucking 20 years ago, they would have thought you're fucking insane, right? But I know people who like have very happy, successful relationships and kids and families, and they're loving it. Like, they're having a really good time, and they met through a fucking little app on their phone, or like through their phone in general. You know what I mean? Like, it's fucking crazy. Like, it's cool as shit. Like, technology can be really beautiful and cool when like you can get it to work for you in that way, you know? So like it's tight, but it's just crazy to think about like what dating used to look like, right? And like what it meant to like have a girlfriend or boyfriend like in the fucking 70s or 80s. And then now like people have fucking partners that live on different countries or in different states or different cities, and they only know them through their phone or through the fucking computer. Like, it's fucking crazy. Like, it's crazy to think that, but they're like actual legitimate relationships. Like, it's just fucking nuts. Like, the technology has made the world so small, and obviously like dating would be one of the first things that, you know, really is utilized with that, because people are just fucking horny and lonely, you know? So like, it makes sense. It's just cool to think about. I mean, honestly, it's just like cool to think about. And that's like why I was like thinking about it. Like, you know, and also kind of like sort of is tied into the last episode, like, you know, talking on the phone and shit too. But like, I don't know, dude. It's fucking crazy. Like, online dating shit's nuts. And obviously, like, you know, catfish has sort of like changed the game, and people still need to be cautious with like meeting up with anyone ever in general. But like, I don't know, dude. It's just like so common and cool that people do that. I don't know. I'm done. But yeah, that's the show. If you like the show, please like and subscribe. It takes fucking no effort to give us a good review. We need it. Please do it. Yeah, and also you can tell your friends. That'd be awesome too. People have been doing that. We've been getting more listeners, which fucking rocks. Continue to do that. That's really fucking cool of you. You can find The Hatening on all social media platforms. From there, you can find the individual profiles from myself and super producer Andrew. Hit us up. We are around. Yeah, take care of yourself and the people around you, and don't forget to tell your friends you love them.